All right, well, it's a real treat to be here with Lance Phelps, an absolute legend of Paraparaumu Beach Golf Club. He's a 10-time club champion, and I understand a 12-time club champion over the hill at Martinborough Golf Club. It'd be fair to say there's probably more stories and more folklore floating around Paraparaumu Beach about Lance Phelps than any other member I've certainly come across. So you absolutely are a true legend of the links, Lance, and it's wonderful that you can join us here this afternoon.
Oh, thank you very much, Leo. Good to hear your voice, and it's a great golf club.
Yeah, well, I guess the idea of these interviews is just to reconnect with some of the great identities that have their history etched into our history, and I guess it only takes a quick glance at that honours board as you walk into the golf club to see the name L. Phelps listed 10 times there right before you even enter through the doors. So it's a wonderful legacy that you've left for us there on the honours board. But look, you left the club in the early 2000s to head over the hill, as I said, to Martinborough. So for those new members or those members that have more recently joined us, let's take the story back, I guess, and let's go right back to the start, Lance, and talk us through those early days there in Paraparaumu Beach. I assume you were born and bred locally?
Yeah, born and bred. Yeah, played a lot of tennis. Played all my rugby at Parapram and then injured myself quite badly. And then so I moved into tennis, and then tennis wasn't working for me because then I injured myself there, and I thought, I'll try golf. We lived on the back of the golf course, and yeah, I snuck over that fence every day and played the 7th, the 5th and the 6th round and round and round. Learnt those holes up, 3 of my favourite holes. One's a par 3, one's a par 4, one's a par 5, and you get to learn to play every hole sort of thing.
So I assume sport was quite an important part of the community back then growing up?
Yeah, love sport. It was in our family, I think. All of us played, all good sportsmen.
So you've got 3 older brothers?
Yeah, I got 1 older brother and 2 younger brothers. Gary, he's a great rugby player. Wayne was a great rugby player.
So I understand with the sporting that rugby was perhaps your the first sport you became really good at. Did you represented Wellington? Is that correct? Or
no, Horfenor, sorry, but my biggest game was we were curtain raiser for the All Blacks at for Manawatu. It was unbelievable.
And so you mentioned you got into tennis, and you quite enjoyed your tennis.
Yeah, I played in 2 New Zealand Opens, a couple of Wellington Opens, all the big ones. I thought I was so good at tennis, and then I went to Auckland to my first New Zealand Open, and I played an American left-hander, Tim Wilkinson, who won the New Zealand Open that year. I had to play him first, bottom seed, top seed. And I'm not going to say the score, 6-1, 6-1. And it was just amazing. He had the head racket, and I had the old wooden one. We didn't. I had a royal crown, and we were a few years behind them. And God, I just thought I was so good, but nah. Because the amateurs are allowed to play quite easily with the pros and the tennis.
Right.
Yeah, I played with Chris Lewis and all that. Yeah, Onnie. Yeah. I had 2 great years of tennis, but nah. Then that rugby injury, and then that was the end. I couldn't lift my shoulder, my arm above my shoulder to do my serve. So with golf, it didn't seem to matter. Yeah, and then I played a bit of table tennis, won all the A-grade championships for a couple of years. And then started. Mum said, "Can't go over there every night." I said, "Yes, I can. I own that course." I was only about 20 at the stage.
So you took up golf relatively late then?
Yeah, a bit late, yeah, 20, yeah.
And did you have any lessons at all, or how did you
Nah,
how
no
did you learn how to
lessons,
swing
I
it?
don't know. I just a little bit of a natural, I think, I'm not sure, but yeah, later I got lessons.
Do you remember what your first handicap was?
5,
That was your first handicap.
yeah.
And how long had you been playing when you got that handicap?
A couple of years,
Okay.
because I didn't join the club. So I played more golf than most members in those 2 years.
Right.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about the club life back then. Like, what was it? What was it like around the club? Some of the characters.
No, look, we had great members. I was young, but all the 50, I just got on so good with them. You know, the John Pikes and Artie Soringer, Ross Maben and Thorpe, Merv Donovan, Dickie Warren, Ashy. We were all big kids. Loved the entertainment, loved the golf course, loved that little happy hour. Sunday was huge drinking. All meet together. Just the personality. Everyone just loved one another. It was great.
And obviously, you're getting quite good at golf. And you would have been selected into representative teams, so the Duncan Cup side, the Otaki Cup side, some of those great interclub sides of that day. I think you guys might have won a fair few during that period.
We only won a couple. I don't know why. We had a great team. You know, Tony Proctor, Charles Lacey, Martin Webber, Paul Devonport, myself, and Ian Daniels, John Hanton, Alan James. Yeah, we had good players, but we just kept on getting pipped every bloody year.
Club championships would have been pretty competitive during that period, I'd suspect.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was. Yeah, everyone loved our club champs. Playing 36 holes. It was just everyone was excited to play, to qualify. Who would be on one side of the draw and you'd go to get to the other side.
Now there's a name that features quite heavily, not too far in front of yourself, and I suspect you probably played against him a number of times. The great John Dory.
Dory,
a New Zealand amateur winner, but a great amateur player, but also featured on that honours board a fair bit as well.
Yeah, no, he's a great player. That with Stuart Jones. I remember a story with Bob Charles said he was a guest speaker one night, and Bob got up and he said, I'm going pro. So he went pro, and he said because there's 2 people in New Zealand. That was the great John Dory and the great Stuart Jones. He said, I'm going because I can't beat them as an amateur.
Yeah, right.
So he left, and John Dory and that Stuart Jones, they won I think it was about, I'm only guessing, about 10 times in 12 years they shared the New Zealand amateur between the 2 of them. Yeah. They were great. And I had one time I was at Parapram and I was just sitting out the front, and this gentleman come along, which was Stuart Jones, and he said, would you like a game, son? I said, love a game. So we went out, and then he was just an amazing person to play with. And we got to the 10th, and he kicked on out hitting me. And I said, Jesus, you good? He said, yeah, so are you. He said, you haven't missed a fairway yet. And he said something to me. He said, easier to hit a forward onto the green than a wedge behind a tree. Yeah. So he just said, you just keep on doing what you're doing, son. He said, you hit fairways, and don't worry about trying to get in. I kept on saying, I'd love to get that 30, 40 more yards. And he said, don't bother, son. He was nice. And John Dory was great. He was always nice to me. We just looked for. We were just so nervous playing him as a young kid. He was a star, still a star to all of us.
Do you remember your first club champs, 1977? Who'd you play in that particular final?
Jack Lacey.
Okay, Charles's father.
Yeah, Charles's father. I went out an hour before the the game to do my practice, and old Jack had a Mark IV Zephyr. I think it was light green. Well, anyway, Bill Saw was our umpire, and he goes, well, Lance, congratulations, you just won your first club champ. And I said, why is that? And he said, well, it's 9 o'clock and he hasn't arrived. And I said, I don't want to win by default. And sure enough, 8:05, I don't know if he was just trying to, things they just got, I was watching, get him out of the car park, walked up, he said, hey, Lance, come have a good day, shook hands. And he just teed off. And that was it. Way we went. Didn't even go and have a putt, nothing. Yeah, didn't say, sorry, I'm late, but I don't know if he was just trying to thing, but I played well and I got him. Not going to say the score.
I was going to say, how deep did the game go?
10-8.
Oh, wow. Okay, so it didn't go very deep at all.
I pulled all stops out. had an amazing day.
Right.
Yeah, big crowd watching as well. It's incredible.
So you talked about your driving there, and I understand, that you were a very accurate driver, but not particularly long. But then get up around the greens, you're absolutely deadly. And you had this putter, I understand, that was an original Arnold Palmer putter that you were very protective of.
Arnold Palmer original, yeah. And then I met Mel Tung years later. I still had it. And he said, Lance, he said, not many people with this Arnold Palmer original. He said, you haven't got the box, have you? And I said, yeah. And it's at home. He said, that's worth more money than the putter.
Right.
So that day I went flying home and Mum said, oh, no, I burnt that years ago. Oh, yeah.
So I'm just looking at those names that were kind of in and around the era there as you're winning your club champs. You mentioned Tony Proctor. Was it Steve Crichton, another one that you would have come up against?
Yeah, Stephen. He was the best. He could hit it far. He hit it along with that boy. But getting back to what you said, Tony Proctor, he got me in to the Wellington team. I was named reserve. And Tony went up to the selectors and they said, why the last 4 tournaments, Lance has beaten us, every person in the Wellington team. Why aren't we giving him a chance? They said, no, he's not ready yet. He's not ready. And the Southland Invitational was no reserves travelled. So they went and saw Tony and they said, you're going to be playing this year? And Tony says, yeah. So they said, oh, Lance, we're sorry, but you're going to be a non-travelling reserve. And then Tony came up to me about an hour later and he said, I've just pulled out. So they have to put you in. So anyway, he gave me, I will never ever forget Tony for doing that. So he gave me the chance. Then the following year, it was my first year at the Tower at Otatara again. Yep. And here you cannot believe how nervous I was, and the boys were saying, "Come on, Lance, come on, don't be nervous." Anyway, I teed off, and I think it went 26 yards or 27 yards, rolled down off the tee, down the hill. Someone yelled at, said, well, at least it's in the middle of the fairway, Lance. Anyway, so I hit a 4-iron second, and to try and place how we'd planned how to play the hole. It was a short thing. Then hold a 9-iron for 3, and they're all on they're all on the tee. Oh, he's away now, eh? And I got player of the tournament that year, won 7 from 7.
Is that right? And so you went on and you played. How long did you play for Wellington? Was it?
I played 10 years.
10 years.
For Wellington, two in the top 10, and then I finally got into the top 5.
We've interviewed in the series Michael Campbell, who I understand you played alongside in the
me and Michael roomed together all the time for about 5 years.
Mel Tongue was your coach?
Yeah, then Mel Tongue and Wellington. Yeah, Mel just kept on saying, belly, you don't wear a belt, Lance, belly button. It was buckled to the target. He just said belly button to the target, Lance. I just always remember that. Yeah, he was good. At the levels invitational when we won the tower, 4 of us, were at the meeting, and to Mel was very hard on meetings, and Scarhill and Cambo, they didn't turn up, and they were about 5 minutes late.
Right.
And Mel said he opened the door, it was in his room, and he said, oh, we'll shut the door, boys, and go. He said, why is that? We're having a meeting, not when you're 5 minutes late. So I said to Mel, that's a bit harsh. He said, would you like to go too, Lance? And I go, well, no. so Mel was a tough man, but yeah, to him, meetings was the first thing.
It's quite interesting you should talk about Mel being strict, because I've listened to Mel talk at an after-dinner in an after-dinner speech, and he talks about the Lance Phelps rule.
Oh yeah, I had a rule. Yeah, everyone else is allowed 1 drink, and he didn't. And they said, "Well, how many is Lance?" He said, "Oh, when he comes home, when he's ready."
So it sounds like he's a little bit more relaxed on you, Lance, fortunately.
Yeah.
But it's quite interesting in that same after-dinner speech, he described you. The question was asked, who's one of the most talented golfers that you've seen play? And, of course, in a lot of the forefront of our minds were, because he did coach the US Open winner, Michael Campbell, and through that period where Michael came third in the Open Championship, and his reply was the most talented golfer he'd seen was Lance Phelps.
Oh, I think he's been very, very nice.
It begs the question, Lance, with that amount of talent, and you're talking about Stephen Scarhill and Cambo that obviously turned professional and went on to the tour and other successes. Was there ever a hankering from yourself, or did you ever have a desire to perhaps go down that line, or were you happy with the amateur track that you were treading?
I just loved the game. Yeah, I love playing. I don't think money was ever going to be an issue playing. I don't think in my heart, I couldn't, with the bigger players on the bigger tour, I just don't think I had that yardage. I got a nickname called the Mexican Bear, accuracy of Jack Nicklaus and the hands of Lee Trevino.
Right, okay.
So, yeah, that stayed for a long time. So, yeah.
So whilst you didn't turn professional, you obviously played in some professional events. And obviously during that period where you were winning club championships, the New Zealand Open was a regular at Paraparaumu Beach. And I understand the club champion used to get entry into the New Zealand Open during those years. Is that correct?
Yeah, we got free entry. Well, exemption, I should say, not entry. Yeah. I qualified twice and come second and third in the amateurs, and Cambo and Tony Christie beat me.
What was your first experience in the New Zealand Open?
Pure nerves and dread. I don't know. It was, yeah, but meeting great players come, eh?
What was the first New Zealand Open you teed it up in?
Oh, I couldn't tell you, sorry, Leo. I should have tried to looked it up.
That's all right. That's all right. So, I mean, was it the one that Corey Pavin won in '84, or was it later when Ian Stanley, '88?
Oh yeah, it was. Yeah, Corey. Yeah, I went and watched Corey Pavin on the putting green. I just watched him, and he was putting these 10-footers. Just that's all he putted. And there's me on right beside him, so people could see me. And and I went up to him and I said, "How come you're not putting the 3-footers and the 30-footers?" He said, I don't hit them that far away and I don't hit them that close, but I hit them to 10 feet all day. So and I thought, you're having me on. But so I don't know if he just said that to me. But, yeah.
You touched on Paul Davenport before. I mean, Paul was the leading amateur that year in 1984, which is an incredible feat. I think he said he was 17 years of age or something, so just quite young to have done so well.
He was an amazing player. Good striker of the ball, distance, incredible. Yeah, he should have gone further, that boy. And he proved himself over in the Canadian Open and the Canadian Tour and tested.
Yeah. So your last club championships was in 1992. Lance, do you remember that particular match who you played?
Yeah, that was against old Frank. Old Frankie, I won on the 38th hole.
Oh wow, extra holes. Okay.
Yeah, and he had me. He had me. I had a poor second on the 18th, and I still had about a 6-iron in, and he was on the green for 2, and then I hit a 6-iron to about 2 inches, and then for some reason he was one up, and he went for the eagle, and he didn't have to go for the eagle. And then he charged it about 5 feet past, and he gave me a bit of a break. Yeah, didn't get the return.
I see. So, Frank went on and won some club championships after that, after you gave a little bit of respite and a bit of a chance to the rest of the field, Lance. There was another young kid, or he would have been young at that stage. He's obviously a little bit older now, but he started a charge very similar to yourself. He's got 8 club championships with us now, and I understand you play a fair bit of golf, or you played a fair bit of golf with him, and still have the occasional game these days. Sean Richards.
Yeah, he is a great. He can hit it. He can make shots where no one can make shots. He is a talented player, that boy. I thought he had more talent than Scarzy and Michael Campbell, but you can't say that because those boys did a lot, hey? But yeah, he's a great player. I used to love playing foursomes with Sean. He'd say, "Now, you play those roles, I'll play these ones." So I didn't even get a chance. And then, sure enough, we never lost a game, me and him playing foursome. Yeah, I think I played about 18 years of Duncan Cup, and you know how you got your foursomes and your singles, and never in the 18 years I lost 2 games in a day. Right. But I had Sean Richards, Martin Webber, and Tony Proctor. Roughly, they were my 3 foursome players, and we just won every game.
Yeah.
And Tony Proctor, used to call him Peter Perfect. He would be a cold, southerly day, and Tony's played 36 holes and his shoes are brand new and his hair's immaculate. He walks through a waterfall without an umbrella and he comes out the other side dry. Eh? Yeah. He's my favourite player at the Paraparaumu Beach Golf Club.
Right at the start of the interview, I mentioned the folklore. And if you could just stick with me here for a little bit, I want to discuss some of those folklore, some of the urban legends, or maybe they're not urban legends. They might actually be correct, Lance. But there's some wonderful stories that float around you and about you at the golf club. And I just wanted to go through a few of these just to see fact or fiction. Lance, it's been said, you obviously talked about being a great tennis champ. You were the club championship at golf, but I understand you had a conversation one day with the club champion from the squash club. And as the conversation developed, a match was challenged and you went across to the squash club. You'd never played squash before and you beat him. Urban myth or fact?
Yeah, kicked his ass.
Hey, I also understand, I mean, you've got an incredible memory and I can tell that just early on in this interview. I understand you can look at a phone book and you can recite every name in order from a phone book. Again, urban myth or is that fact?
No, that was one of my little tricks, eh? Yeah, I used to do up to 6 to 8 packs of cards, shuffle them up, turn them over, memorise them, and then I had people's wallets. I had everything. They said, you can't do it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Mrs. at the South Invitational, Mrs. Patterson. It was Brent Patterson's mother.
Right.
She said, Lance, I'd like to see a trick. So anyway, I did this trick, and so I shuffled up the pack. I said, you just take a card out and put it back. So anyway, everyone in the clubhouse is watching at the Otatawa Golf Club. Anyway, so she put it back, and then I said, look, I think you've cheated. She said, what do you mean I've cheated? I said, well, you haven't put the card back, so I can't get it. And she said, yes, I have. I said, I'm sorry, Mrs. Patterson, I'm going to have to call you a liar. So anyway, I said, so she looked through the pack and everyone said, no, she's put it back. I said, well, if everyone saw it, I'd like to challenge every person for a rum and coke. So anyway, there was about 50 people around there and they all said yes. So they all went through it and they said, it's not there. I said, well, I know because I'm pretty sure she put it in a purse. So she opened up the purse and sure enough, the card was in there, eh?
It was like a night of rum and cokes, an easy night of rum and cokes.
Yeah.
Hey, so one of those inter-club matches we were talking about earlier. Again, another urban myth or fact. You can clear this one up. But I understand you had 2 putts for a win from a very short distance, perhaps only a couple of feet. 2 putts for the win, and you asked the person, your opponent, was the putt good? And he said it wasn't. So you strolled up to it. You hit it about 20 feet the other way, strolled after it, turned around and binned the next one back from 20 foot and turned to the opponent and said, is that good?
Yeah, no, that is true, eh?
That is true.
Yeah. And I did it in Auckland at the same thing in Auckland.
Okay.
The guy, I said to him, I said, I've got a 20-footer. He had a 2-footer. And I said, 2 gimmies. And Tony Proctor said, don't, Lance. and he said, well, we've had a great game. And we come out with a half each. And he just said straight away, he said, nah, so I'm going to beat you. I said, oh, sweet then. I hold mine and he missed his. And I said, you should have just taken the 2 gimmies. We would have had a half. But he said, nah. I was at an amateur at the Hut, and I had Colin Williams. He was a great person for Duncan Cup. He organised all the caddies, and he'd pick them all up and take all the caddies in his van. And he caddied for me this particular day. And we're in the Hut, and we saw the sorry, it was the New Zealand Amateur, and Peter O'Malley won it that year. And the ball rolled into the pine needles, and we saw it go in, but you think we could find it? And Colin smoked, so he threw his lighter and all the pine needles, called it light. And anyway, here's the ball. Carried on as nothing had happened. Yeah, that was
Hey, now you've spoken about card tricks. I understand that you might do an impersonation or an impression of Donald Duck.
Have you heard of Duck Sneeze? No, all right.
Oh boy. Bye-bye.
Fantastic, Lance. Good on you, mate. Your favourite hole at Paraparumu Beach?
Oh, you're not going to believe it. My favourite hole's the 8.
Okay.
Yeah, but the hardest holes are, the 13th, the 17th, and the 5th. They're great golf holes. But at the 8th, people just, to me, because I faded the ball, it was just a short fade off the tee, and then I'd hit this 8, 9 or wedge every day, never went for the stick, and I just hit it to the middle of the green, never had a 10-foot, longer than a 10-foot putt. And to me, it wasn't about playing the hole, it was just pinning that thing out. I don't know, it's a great hole, and a southerly, short, but that could kill a lot of people.
Hey, so what took you away from the club?
I don't know. I've got a couple of personal things with the Wellington team, and then my brother said I've got a job over here, so yeah, because I played, I had Michael Campbell and Scarzy and Max and Tomo, and they all left that year.
Right.
And then I said to the selectors, because I played 2 and 3, and I had a good track record in the Southland, winning the Southland Invitation as well, and a couple of towers and that. And I said, number 1 now, and they said, no, you stay at 5. I said, no, I'd really like to go at 1 for the year. And they said, no, sorry. So I said, I just gave up golf. Yeah.
So you met Tracy, I understand, and you headed over, like you said. Wayne had a fishing job for you in Martinborough. Is that correct?
Yeah. Had a fishing job, and it was good. Just out of it, because my whole life I worked for Alan James as well.
Right.
And then Alan was such a good person to me. He started at 4 in the morning, finish at 11, then go, and then I went to golf every day. I practiced more than what I played.
Okay.
But Alan was good, and then I thought, it's time. When we had the tower, I'd go down a week beforehand, learn to play the course as good as I could. Went out on the fishing boats with the King Fisheries of the oyster season boat, because they were a big part of the South Invitational, the big sponsors.
I know you've been, you do fishing down at Narwee, and been out there a couple of times in recent years. And whilst it's not called the Narwee Beach Golf Club, it certainly sits right on the beach. It's a stunning place to play golf. Have you played much golf at Narwee?
A couple of times. My brother's got the course record, and I'm not allowed to. I'm not allowed to play.
Speaking of course records, I understand alongside your 12 club championships, you might have the course record as well up at Martinborough.
Yeah. 11 under 61. I took it off Michael Campbell in Scarhill. I shot a 63, and they both shot 65s the previous year. And then one year it was the champions of champions, and Scarzy, he was firing and I was firing, and I was 6 under with 3 to play, and Scarzy's 4 under with 5 to play, and they were behind her, and I birdied 15, eagled 17. Oh, I've got the champions of champions. And Scarzy come in and he said, "How'd you go, Lance?" He said, "You would have had to go good." I said, "What was that?" He said, "Oh, I've just had 5 birdies in a row." I said, "Get out of here." and then we went to the playoff hole and he birdied that as well. Right. Yeah.
What was your best score around Paraparaumu Beach?
Not that good. 66s and 5s off the blues, very low off the whites.
So recently, you've popped up on our TV screens, Lance, in an advertisement for ANZ. Nearly fell off my seat when I saw it. I guess for a lot of people looking at that, it epitomises a lot of things about Lance Phelps. I think you're wearing gumboots. You're in footy shorts. You got a flannel shirt on, but you've just got this silky swing that you knock it in the hole, and you have this wonderful smile that we're seeing right now that really embodies, I guess, the enjoyment and fun that you get out of the game. How did this move into television come about?
I was a bit lucky out at Narwee. This guy was going power diving, Mark. I met him, and there's a couple of big waves caught him, and so he pulled him out of the water, sort of thing. Oh, wow, okay. And then I said, "Go up to I'll go and get you some." So I went and got some powers for him. And then I said, "You like come up to my batch? My batch is up on the hill." So we went up there and had a couple of drinks, and then I've got a driver sitting on the side of the deck where I used to just hit balls out to sea. So anyway, he said, "Can I have a hit?" I said, "Of course you can." So I hit, and he got it just to the road. There was another 50 yards to the sea. He said, "You get to the sea?" And I said, "Yeah." Anyway, he said, "You can't." I said, "Yeah, I can." So I hit it out to sea, and then so we carried on drinking. We had a great day, and he left, and 20-something years later, he said, "Oh, I know a guy for this part of the ad." So he rings me up. It was on a Sunday. It was quite funny. I remember it was about 12 o'clock, and he said, "Oh, Lance, I'm going to put you in a TV ad." I said, "Oh, yeah, I'm busy. Sorry about that." And I hung up on him. And about 2 minutes later, he rings back. He said, "Oh, Lance, I'm going to put you in a TV ad." I said, "No, I'm busy." So I hung up again, and he rang me back about a minute later, and he goes, "Lance, don't hang up. I'm going to put you thing. Ring me back when you're finished driving." So anyway, because I thought it was a hoax, eh? He's a nice man, Mark. Yeah, kept in touch.
Where did you film it? Where was that little golf hole? I assume it was just cut out of a paddock or something, was it?
No, it was just cut out of a paddock at, I'll forget it where it was,
Okay.
up in Auckland, on a beautiful, on a cliff face. Yeah.
What do you miss most about your days at Paraparaumu Beach?
Oh, the drinking. No, I don't know. The course, love the course, the company. Yeah, great, lots of great memories there.
So I understand that you, due to a little bit of poor health, perhaps you hadn't played for 7 years, but you're back playing golf this year, and your wife tells me you shot 80 on your first outing, but you still weren't happy with that.
No, there's a lot of stiff parts at the moment. The lungs are coming better, and so I want to start walking the course again.
Yeah.
I've got to take a cart.
Hey, well, I'm just going to finish the interview off, and it's something that Paul Davenport said to me when we were talking just very recently. I understand if your brother had to put a ring on his sister's finger, you'd be called family right now. But that hasn't happened as yet. But Paul said to me, there may have been better players, but they worked harder to get there. Lance was already there and was one of the most naturally gifted and talented players I've ever seen, which I think is a wonderful testament to Lance, your obvious natural ability. Those that have played the game around you have clearly enjoyed the company, the spirit that you bring, the embodiment of golf and everything that it means to you. So I just want to thank you very much for taking part in this. It's lovely to reconnect with you again, and when we get through on the other side of everything that the world's going through right now, it'll be great to see you come over in one of those cars. I know that you've got a great passion for as well, and to perhaps play our links once again.
I will. Thank you very much, and all the people of Paraparaumu, and happy Mother's Day to everybody.
Good on you, Lance. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Leo. Have a great day.